Hi, everybody, and welcome to my YouTube show, Roots History Show. So today I am going to cover the topic of was there political freedom in the USSR? So that is going to be the topic of this video for today. So before I go into before I go into that topic, I'm going to talk about the definition of political freedom. Political freedom is the right to vote for your leader for like the United States, like you guys vote in the United States, like for the next president or whatever. So that is what political freedom is. You have the right to vote to choose whoever you want to be as leader for or whatever. So that is the definition of political freedom, or the concept of political freedom. So the question is, was there political freedom in former USSR? No, there wasn't, because there was this. It was everything. It was a communist system, or communist or socialist system in Soviet Union. No, it was a communist system in USSR, and there was no political freedom in the country because the people of the nation didn't have any rights to vote for the leader because it was communist government, like I said. And so there was this guys that would be in the central committee, and they would make decisions about like whoever's going to be the new leader, and they were responsible for electing the members of the Politburo, in which those were these top guys in the Communist Party of USSR. And in that end, it's in China too, and it's in the People's Republic of China, which is also which remains a communist nation to this day still, since 1949. So there was no political freedom in USSR, and there was no political freedom in other communist countries. For example, like North Korea. There's no political freedom in North Korea, which is also a communist country, like Soviet Union. There's no political freedom in Vietnam, I think, because it's also a communist country. And there's no political freedom in Cuba and in other communist countries, which is still today, and in other communist countries back during the Cold War time. And there was also no political freedom in Nazi Germany because it was a one-party state, and it was a dictatorship in Nazi Germany because the Hitler was in power of Nazi Germany from 1933 to 1945, when he committed suicide and when the Soviet troops reached Berlin in 1945. And so there was no political freedom in Soviet Union because people didn't have the right to vote like you guys do in the United States, where you put the letter in and where you vote for someone. They didn't have that in former Soviet Union or USSR during its 69 years of history, because this guys in the central committee would make a decision about who's going to be the new leader, and it would probably take between three or 2 days for them to make a decision about who's going to be the new leader of the USSR, or the General Secretary of Communist Party of USSR. So that's how it was in USSR, because there was no freedom to vote, and there was and people had no rights in the country because it was communist. It was a communist system in Soviet Union. And so it was another it's another strange thing, because whenever they were electing a new leader, the TV would be off. The TV was like off limits for the people of the country. Like, people weren't able to watch TV during that time whenever a big leader died or something. A big leader died. For example, the death of Leonid Brezhnev in 1982. There was no TV for 3 days. For 3 days when Comrade Brezhnev died in 1982. And so, and then it took between 2 or 3 days for them to make a new decision about who's going to be the new leader of the party. And so they made a new decision, and they picked a new leader, Yuri Andropov. in November of 1982, the same month when Brezhnev died, on the November 10th, 1982. And so and he wasn't in power for a long time. He just led the country for almost 2 years. So that wasn't a long period of time. And so and then in the United States, you have political freedom, in which you in which you have the right to vote for your leader. But in other countries, I think in other countries you have the right to vote. I believe in other countries you have the right to vote. In the United States, you have the right to vote, but you have to be under the age of 18 to vote for the president of the United States. In Soviet Union, I don't remember the age you had to vote. That's also another good that's also another question. That's also another good question I need to research, but I don't know the average age to vote. But then the average age of the Politburo was around, I think it was between 60 years old, 60 or 70 years old during that time. And there was also between 9 members of the Politburo, which were these top guys in the Communist Party. And so they were basically like the guys, ahead of everybody. They were like the head of the Communist Party. So that's what the Politburo was. And so during its 69 years, it had no political freedom whatsoever. And then people didn't have any rights to vote. They didn't have any rights to do whatever. So, and during that period, during its 69 years. And right now in Russia, now in Russia they have presidents. But then before Soviet Union broke down, there was no presidents. Because it was a different structure during that time in the Soviet political system, because you had the general secretary, which was kind of like the president or a leader of USSR, and they were in power all the way until they died. Like, for example, like all other leaders like Stalin, Khrushchev, Brezhnev, Andropov, and Chernenko, they were all in power until they died. Like there was no term for the leader for a new leader to be elected as General Secretary of Communist Party of Soviet Union, like United States does. The United States, like the president is only elected up to 4 years, but if they win an election in 4 years, in 4 years, they could be a president for another 4 years, and that would be 8 years, and then a new president would be elected, as the new president would be elected as the new president of the nation of the United States. In Soviet Union, it wasn't like that. So then right now, Russia, they have presidents and they have terms, and they could also elect another president. And right now in Russia, it's also Putin. He's also elected up. He's elected to. He's been president for, I think it was between four times or 3 times. He's been 3 times he's been elected. I think it's 2 times as president of Russia, and he's been in power for almost 2 decades now. That's kind of like the same amount of time when Brezhnev was the leader of Soviet Union from 1964 from 1980 to 1982 when he died. So I hope you enjoyed this video. So please drop a like and subscribe, and I will make more videos about more history of Soviet Union. And so I hope you enjoyed the video of was there political freedom in Soviet Union, and I'll see you guys in the next history video, and I'm out.